Hi guys, this is Greg Sain with the Options Power Team, dominatebinaryoptions.com. Right now, we're trying to get Frank set up because he and I have never done a joint hangout before, so we're trying to get that figured out now. If you can hear me, type yes in the box. If you can hear me, type yes in the chat box. If anybody can hear me, type yes in the chat box, please. Can you guys not hear me? I'm talking right now. Hello? No, okay. All right. Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me now?
Okay, so we're on the air.
Yeah, you're on, Frank. Okay,
Thanks,
okay,
Aaron.
hang on.
Yep.
Can you guys hear us?
Hey, Greg.
Yes. Can you hear me, Frank? Can you hear me, Frank?
Yeah, Greg.
Can you guys hear me now? Okay, cool. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, type the number 8 in the box. Yes, we hear you. Okay, awesome. Okay. Frank, can you hear Frank? Speak, Frank.
I'm here. Can you hear me, Greg?
Yes, I can. They said they can hear both of us. Okay, awesome. All right, again, this is Greg Sain with the Options Power Team, dominatebinaryoptions.com. Listen, we had some technical difficulties. You know, that happens. And we're trying to get it all straightened out now. I think we got it straightened out. I think Anthony Kent came in and helped out a little bit. So, cool. So, what we're going to do now, so we don't waste any more time, we're 9 minutes late. I like being on time. We're 9 minutes late. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do it like this. Okay. Now, we're going to ask the question. And they're going to be really simple. And now we're having like weird thing that'll happen. Yeah. All right. We're gonna ask Frank some questions. And Frank, can you still hear me?
I can hear you, Greg.
Okay, are you getting that feedback that I'm getting?
Yeah, am I what?
Can you hear that feedback?
No, you're coming in and out.
Okay. Can you hear the feedback? Yes. Okay. Let me see. Can I just hang off that?
Can you guys hear me now?
That's much better.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Perfect. Now, guys, on the call tonight, we have the creator of the options, binary options equalizer. We also have on the phone the founder of the Global Success Plan. I've known Frank for several years, probably 8, 9 years. And we've worked together on several projects, and he's one of my closest friends and associates. So to not waste any more time, I know there's a lot of backseat guys. Hang on. I don't know how I can fix that. Hang on. 1 second. Is that better? How's that? Not better. Okay. We'll see in a second. Okay. All right. Okay. So what I want to do first, I want to ask Frank, when you started the whole process of the options equalizer, what made you decide to do it? What made you decide to move towards this particular process and this particular business?
Boy, that's that comes from years and years, Greg, of looking at different ways to make money. And one of the things that I was looking at as far back as the 80s and stuff is that I was looking at a way that I could design something where people could make money just on the computer by themselves. I'm just literally sitting at the computer by themselves, and I happened to own a stock market company at the time. And I had already been working on software that could literally enable people to work on the computer by themselves and just make money. And so it was really a natural progression for me to go from, I started out in commodities and went to stocks, and then it was just a really natural progression to go right into, the binary options equalizer.
Okay. Well, I guess the next question is, when you decided to do that, what was the biggest obstacle for getting it started?
Well, the biggest obstacle was, and I don't want to go back 30 years, because that's how long it actually took to build the software. And it had taken me literally 30 years that I was working on software offline before there were even, regular PC computers and stuff. And so designing a software that would do what it does was probably the biggest hurdle. Okay.
Well, I guess the next question would be, what made you decide to make it a business as well as a piece of software?
Well, originally I just designed it for myself, and I was going to use it just for myself. I mean, that's why I literally designed it in the first place. And then I just had way too many people, asking if they could get it, if they could get some version of it, if I'd trade for them, if I'd teach them. And, you kind of finally start realizing, well, I have this really great piece of software that I designed, And I did not want to just teach, my friends and family and individual people, because it just takes way too long when you're trying to teach or do something, one by one like that.
Right.
And so I decided, well, if I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make it available to, the general public, or at least a club or a group or something where, there can be hundreds and thousands of us sharing in this instead of just, one or two people here and there.
Mm. Okay. Well, now let me ask you this. With respect to the Global Success Plan, I know we're not really going to talk very much about that right now, but how did you come up with the idea to connect the two together?
Here's what it always boils down for me, Greg, is I know there's always two aspects of the business, and that is using a product or service, and I don't care if you're using health products, if you're using weight loss products, if you're using a digital product, no matter what it is, there's always the product part of the business, or it should be. Everything should always be designed. Everything should be designed around a great product and service. Well, then the other piece of the business is what about, how do you reward someone for when they refer somebody to use that product or service? And so that should be equally as good as the product and service that you're using. So if you're using the product and service, that should be rewarding. And then if you're referring people to use that product and service, that should be equally rewarding. That's how I came up with the two. Okay, I can't hear you at all, Greg.
Okay, can you hear me now? Jesus.
I can hear you.
I know you heard that. Hang on a second. I'm sorry, man. This is one of those deals.
Hey, we'll get through it.
Okay, one second. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you great.
Okay, hang on. Let me work on this deal here for a second. For some reason, I keep getting this feedback, and I can't stop it. Okay, hang on. It may be a loop from my cam. 1 second. Yeah, I tried to change the headphones, and I think it is the loop coming back from. I think it's the loop coming back from the speaker.
Right, you know what?
Yeah.
Call me on the phone.
Call you on the phone?
Yep.
Okay. 1 second.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
Okay. See if you're getting any feedback or anything now.
I don't hear any. Nope.
Okay. So can you get back on or maybe you're on there and I don't hear it?
Yeah. I'm not on yet. Hang on a second.
So maybe I'll have to do it like this. I'll have to be on the phone.
Uh-huh.
Can you still hear me on the computer?
I can hear you, yes, in my headphones. Yes.
Oh, okay, ask if all the members can hear me.
Can you guys hear Frank? Can you guys hear Frank? Can we see Frank when he's talking? No, he doesn't have a cam. Can you guys hear him though?
Okay. Okay, yeah, everybody's saying yes, they can.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so does that cut out the loop for you?
Yes, it works out for me.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know what you did, but cool. All right, now.
Okay,
so
except now you just went in distance. I can't hear you anymore.
you can't. Oh, okay. Okay. You can hear me now, right?
Yeah, that's the only way I can hear you is when we're on the phone.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, folks, hang on a second. You're going to hear Frank, but you're not going to see him. You're not going to see him.
I'll put my pretty picture up there, Greg, if they want to see somebody, you know.
I don't have it just available.
Okay.
But now, okay. Question I want to know now is this. I'm going to give you some questions that members have asked, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
And guys, as you may not know, Frank has no idea what we're going to ask. So one question was, which I thought was the first, it should be the first question, is this. Why should I pay $119 a month for your calculator when I can use my own for free? Also, explain the benefits of your system and how does it make me money, and please be specific on the money part of the question.
Okay. The first thing that I would answer to the person about the calculator is, yeah, go pick up a calculator and use it, and good luck. Because I didn't work on a piece of software for over 30 years just to develop a calculator. So that's the first thing.
Right.
Is the thousands and thousands and thousands, and I mean literally thousands of formulas and algorithms and everything that's in that piece of software, nobody can even start to guess.
Right.
I had over, I can't tell you how many programmers that I contacted for years and years and years, and nobody said that they could do it. So I mean, that's how, it's actually a pretty sophisticated piece of software. So that kind of answers the calculator deal.
Right.
So the other piece of it, in terms of money, is what the software does is it literally allows a person to use it like in trading binary options, and when they lose a trade, they can put the amount of that trade in the binary options equalizer, and it tells them, based on what they're doing, what their next amount of their trade needs to be to make up their losing trade, to make up their existing trade, and end up with the profit in their pocket. And it does that whether you lose once or twice in a row or 3 times in a row, 4 times in a row, and it does all that and keeps you in a running profit all the time. And so, not to get ahead of myself, but it's just like I was talking to one of our members the other day, and he said, and I'll try to paraphrase it as close as I can. He said, Frank, I traded out, I closed out this trading session. And he said, I was up $260 net. But he said, the way that I got there was I had 54 trades. I said, okay. He said 23 of them were winning trades, 21 of them were losing trades. I said, okay. And he said, the only way that I ended up winning is I kept using the equalizer every time I lost a trade, and I would make up my previous trade, my existing trade, and take a profit. And he said, so at the end of the day, even though I had only won 23 trades and lost 21 trades, I still ended up with $260. You know as well as I do, Greg, that without that piece of software, he'd have just as easily been $300 to $500 in the hole.
In the hole, right? Exactly.
So that's what the software does for you.
Now tell me, because I'm sure there's going to still be people here, and I'm not going to ask. This wasn't a question that was given this week for this webinar, but I've heard this spoken of several times.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between using the software and martingaling?
A huge difference. Martingaling is one of the fastest ways to go broke.
Oh, I agree, but just go ahead and explain.
Well, what martingaling does is, and let's watch, I'll actually just run you through a quick scenario of martingaling.
Okay.
Okay. Let's say that you do a trade for $50. So we'll start off with something, fairly simple, easy, everybody can understand. Okay, we do a trade for 50, and let's say that you lose. Well, just using martingale, you just literally double and make your next trade. So your next trade would be 100. Well, let's say that you lost that trade. Well, you just doubled it again, and your next trade would be 400. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that a handful of trades, and you're buried. Because you would literally go 50, 100, 200, 400, 18, or 800, 1600, 3200, 6400, and that's all within, what, 7 or 8 trades or something?
Yep.
So that's why you can't use, again, that's why it took over 30 years to develop what I developed. You can't do things like, because it really comes down to money management and knowing how to manage money, the percentages, all that stuff of not, and what the percentage of the return is on the trade that you're doing, because trades also give you a different return of anywhere from about 60% to a high of about 93, 94%.
Right.
So it takes all that into consideration and says, here's the perfect number that you need to do to place your next trade.
Now, repeat that again. It gives you the perfect number.
Right.
So that means that even if you thought you could take a calculator and create a number,
right,
it doesn't, a regular calculator or martingale cannot give you the precise number necessary to cover your past trade, your current trade, and get the exact percentage based on the asset pair, correct?
Correct, exactly.
Now I noticed, and this was back when we were beta testing, but I noticed that when you make a trade and you lose, and then when you win and you start over, sometimes when the same thing happens again, the numbers are different. Why is that?
That's because basically 3 things. When I developed this software, Greg, like I said, I developed it for me. And when I did that, I was doing a lot of this in my head, and it was all offline.
Right.
And when I decided to develop it for other people, I knew other people needed to be able to access what was in my head. And the only way we could do that is give them some things like, you'll notice, on the binary options equalizer that there's a low, a medium, and a high goal per trade. So there's 3 buttons on there. And so we tried to keep the face of it really, really simple, so the end user can just use it really simple. And yet, behind the scenes, that's where everything's going on that is, tremendously, complicated. So that's why it's always taking into consideration what you're doing personally. It doesn't just it just doesn't do it based on presets all the time.
Right.
So
it's kind of counterintuitive, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I know for a fact you can't get that from the calculator. So.
No, because a calculator basically, calculators are really simple. Geez, it's, you plug in 2 + 2 and it says yes, 4.
Right.
But that's all they do. Yeah.
And a calculator can't anticipate what you're going to do next once you speed 4.
Exactly.
And the software knows the habit.
Yes.
Now, what a lot of things, guys, that you don't know about Frank, and he won't talk about it, he doesn't really, blessed ego if anybody ever knows. And being a musician, I don't even know what it's like to not have one. So here's this. He's also a pretty good guitar player too, but that's another story. But what Frank has always been a genius at is trend and habit. When he studied people's trends, he studied the software trends, he studied business trends. Frank, elaborate a little bit on your previous experiences with those things with respect to the stock market.
Well, the one thing that I discovered, and just to let everybody know, what I actually discovered was when I had went to the horse track for the very first time. And when I went to the horse track, I was so naive. I went with a friend, and I just asked my friend. I said, geez, how do you bet on a horse? How do you even pick a horse? And he started telling me all this stuff about, well, some people bet on the jockey, some bet on the trainer, some bet on the track, some bet on the weight, some bet on the bloodline, and started just telling me all kinds of stuff. So I asked him, I said, well, what's that big board in the middle of the track? And he said, well, that's the odds of the horse. I said, okay. So, like that first odd of 1-to-1, what does that tell me? And he said, that tells me that that's the favorite. I said, okay. What's that other odd over here that's showing like 30-to-1? And he said, well, that's, a long shot. And I said, well, basically on a $2 wager, that's going to pay me $60. Why wouldn't I just bet on that? And he said, well, that's also the chances that horse has of coming in. And I started betting on the races, and it took me until about the 7th race to actually win a winning race. And I had bet, $2. I walked up to the window and gave the guy my $2 winning ticket, and something magical happened. He gave me back $12.40.
Right.
So it was just like if I walked into a bank, gave them a $2 bill, and they handed me back $12.40 and said, thank you, sir.
I'll take that all day.
Yeah, it's like, well, how many times can I do that? And I walked back and I told a friend I was with, I said, you realize this has nothing to do with horse racing. And he looked at me like I was half crazy, and he said, what are you talking about? And I said, this has everything to do with stats and percentages and how many times this happens over and over and over, every day, every week, and every year. And what I did is I went home and I called up the daily racing form and ordered it for the last 3 years, back ordered it. And each daily racing form had 3 racing tracks in it. And after poring over that information for about about 2 or 3 years, I was starting to get the hang of the statistics and how everything in nature is a creature of habit.
Right.
And how statistics happen over and over and over and over and over again. And through studying those habits, that you can see how past events that's happened for years and years and years and years and years are also a good road or a good roadmap to see what's going to happen in the future. And that's when I really started developing the equalizer.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, we've got a lot of questions in the chat box right now, and I'm going to address some of them. Tonight, we had one question that says, what brokers do you use and how long does it take to get withdrawals? Do you want to go into that right now?
You know, what I'd like to do, Greg, is, because I'm not, let me say this first of all about brokers and stuff, and I'm not real crazy about, well, one thing that I absolutely refuse to do is use any kind of brokerage firm that if I tell somebody about it, that I get a big fat commission.
Right.
Because to me, that's not the way you do business. You know, if I find out something good, like, hey, there's this great restaurant here, or you go to the restaurant and you enjoy your meal, hey, good for you, and you know, I'm glad I could help you with that. And so just like a brokerage firm, I don't want to tell people about a brokerage firm because I get a commission or anything. So what I had told our existing members is, in fact, after this webinar tonight, is I'll list in our back office the brokerage firms that we've looked at and used and like.
Right.
And then that way there's no, you know, we're not saying this is who we're recommending or anything. We're just saying, hey, here's the ones that we've used and liked, and you know that we're not getting these fantastic commissions because you guys happen to use them or want to use them or whatever.
Right. Well, I've maintained that from the very beginning when we started this group, because people have asked me since day one, what broker do you use? What broker do you use? And
Right.
first of all, I wouldn't tell them because they shouldn't even be discussing brokers, because they should be demoing. The only broker you'll know about from me was spot option, because you should be demoing until you got that muscle memory up. So that's part of the 4 pillars of binary option success. Now, with that being said, I always say, and I told my team leaders and principal officers in the company that we will not ever be affiliates or affiliated with any broker, because most times when you're an affiliate for a broker, you get paid when the client makes a deposit. Well, if they make one deposit, and one of my cardinal sins that I say is making a redeposit. But if the only way I make extra money is when you make the deposit, that's a conflict of interest on both sides of the coin.
Yes, absolutely.
So I personally stayed away from that. Now, some people say, well, that's a high integrity. Yes, it's integrity, but it also doesn't make sense. And I don't like anything that makes sense. So for me, it just makes more sense to just use what you use, don't use it, or use it. It's up to you. But I'm not going to tell you, this is where you better go if you're going to work with me.
Yeah, and in fact, you know what I'd like to address, Greg, is somebody just asked about being a U.S. resident, and are they required to use a U.S.-based broker? And for one, personally, I do. Use a U.S.-based broker, and so that's what I will list on the site. As we're talking, another question came in about the back office, and you'll be giving out that later once you
Yes, I will, sure.
The link for it.
Right. So one of the things, let me ask a couple of more questions here. Someone asked, there's been a mention of a 60-second strategy What about that? Now, here's how I will address that. I spoke about a 60-second strategy, but only from the standpoint that the options equalizer doesn't, in most brokers, you can't incrementally raise your trade amount by $1 when you're in the 1 minute to 5 minute expiry positions. But if you're having your greatest success using 1 to 5 minute trades, then when you get done with your day, if you're using small trades, and this is all ifs, there's a lot of ifs involved. But let's say you do 20 trades and they're all $5 each. Okay. Well, then say you lose 3 of those trades, then that's $15. You can plug that $15 loss into the equalizer. But depending on how big your account is, it could easily stretch you out. Frank, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Yes, the one thing is that we give training, in the back office how to use the equalizer, the best way to use it.
Right.
And then one of the other things that we show people is that let's say that you plug your last trade that was a losing trade into the binary options equalizer, and it said your very next trade should be $13.
Right.
Well, let's say that the particular brokerage firm that you happen to be with, you can't put in the exact amount of $13. Well, then and let's say they have $5 trades. Well, I just plug in the 3 $5 trades then.
Right.
And so it rounds it off to, $15. And, because a dollar or two one way or the other on a trade like that, is going to be okay.
Right. And as Frank was stating, when you log in to the equalizer, where you have your equalizer options EQ pad, when you log into your back office, if you'll see, when you hover over BOEQZ, it has all the trainings so far, 17 different videos, how it works, trading philosophy, candlestick chart reading, all the way to make better trades and better trends, all the way to how to trade without emotions. Okay? All of that's already there. People ask me, how come I haven't started a off Facebook training page? I don't need to. Anything you need to know about binary options trading, you can get right here. And if it's not here now, it'll be here shortly.
Yeah, in fact, just to jump in there for a minute, Greg, what we're adding and going to be adding in the future is, there's a lot of different strategies to trading, and then there's a lot of different strategies when you're trading 60-second, 3-minute, 5-minute, 15-minute, end-of-day trades.
Right.
And so there's a huge amount of strategies, and what we tried to do here is start out with the easiest, simplest for the novice, something that's for the intermediate, and something that's also for the professional that they can use right away, and without overwhelming them with all there is to learn, because this is a wonderful, just absolutely terrific home-based business opportunity that's available that used to didn't be available to people, regular, average, everyday people that just sat on their PCs at home.
Right.
You couldn't do this. You couldn't get this kind of information. You needed to be a professional. You needed to be connected to, I don't know how many people remember, but you used to have to call your broker on the phone, and he actually had to make the trade for you.
Right.
And things like that. Well, with the advent of the computers, oh my goodness, it's opened up a whole new world, and that's why we're in the trend that we're in, and it happens to be one of the hottest global trends there is.
And it's not, and we haven't even scratched the surface in America.
No, we haven't. No.
90% of the people in America don't even know what binary options trading is.
Right, exactly.
Now, as you can see on the screen, I've opened up the Global Success Plan back office, where that's where the business program is in place. Now, what I want to do, I want to speak about one question that Valerie just said in public about the 4 pillars. You'd have to have a pretty big account to take advantage of being able to trade those amounts you need to trade. Not everyone has a huge live account. Doesn't seem to mesh with the 4 pillars, just my observation. Let me correct your observation, Valerie. The 4 pillars doesn't tell you how much to trade. What the 4 pillars tells you is, 1, money management. Only you can manage your money. I can't tell you make $25 trades, you make $50 trades. No. If you are trading using the 4 pillars, then you have put yourself in a structured, disciplinary system that ends with emotional neutrality, which means at that point you have such a robotic approach to trading, you become Frank, basically. Because I've never seen a machine like Frank when it comes to trading. He can put his head down and trade for hours without sleeping up. Now, most of us haven't traded long enough to be able to do that. That's why I put the system together so that it programs you slowly to become that machine. And when you become that machine, you can win $1,000, you can lose $1,000, and you never freak out. But now with the options equalizer, you can potentially make whatever amount of money you choose to make if you follow the system. Now, with the options power team, we have a 4-pronged system. Now we have 4. Originally it was 3. The 3 prongs were use your discipline from the 4 pillars, use your indicator, so it tells you when to trade and what assets to trade in. And the third one, use the options EQ pad to make up for any losses that you may get. Human nature dictates you're going to lose some trades. But when you can make that up plus money, then you're in a better situation. Now, the 4th piece is the piece that addresses your point, Valerie. When you have the options EQ pad, that means that you also have the Global Success Plan. Frank, briefly, because I don't want to get into this, we'll have another webinar just about the Global Success Plan, but briefly. When you add the Global Success Plan, where you potentially can make up to over $8,000 a month, isn't that a great place to create the income so you can turn that income into trading income?
Yeah, it's basically the way I look at it, Greg, is, one of 2 things. Is that if you don't have the money to trade, well, you can work the other side of the program and refer other people to the great products and services. And, you can make up to $8,500 a month. Well, if you have the money to trade, I already know that just automatically what's going to happen, because I've experienced that, already time and time again, is that people start using it, they get all excited, and they start referring other people, and before they know it, they're making commissions.
Right.
So, like I said before, is there was really 2 pieces to the business. And one, you have to have a great product and service, and then second, you have to have, great referral commissions. And so what I did is also, when I thought in terms of building the commission structure, is I'd seen the plans, I designed plans myself, I've been in the home-based business industry, I've owned networking companies, all that stuff, and looked at a lot of the paid plans and all that stuff out there. Always told me one thing: hardly nobody makes any money.
Right.
And looking at all the statistics, literally in the home-based business, I mean the statistics, and these aren't even mine. These come from Nielsen and companies like that. And it shows that even out of the top 10 networking companies, people only make $50 a month. Well, you know, to me, I know why that is, and that's because when you're paying for a product and service and you refer somebody else, they give you a little, you know, $2 or $3 commission, you know, $1 commission, 50-cent commission, you know, whatever.
Right.
And I don't think that's fair. I think that we're all equal. I'm my own best customer.
Right.
I absolutely love the binary options equalizer, and so I'm my own best customer, and I'm also my own best affiliate. And so I want to get paid if I refer somebody to my business. And so we made it a fair plan that's equal for everybody. And the way we did it is said, look, no matter if you bring somebody in, the person that brought you in, or your downline, your, you know, whoever, we're going to pay you a $25 commission per month, and we're going to do that for 4 levels so you guys can make some decent commissions. And then we did one other thing as a company, because understand, I'm an affiliate for the company.
Right.
That's what I am. That's what I enjoy doing, is trading and being an affiliate. And so what we also did, where a lot of companies start 20, 30, 50 matrices, we didn't do that. We started one pay plan from the very top of the company, and that's it. So we're all on the same team.
Yep.
That, you know, things like that to me, you know, because I've heard, you know, people throw around the words, and when we talk, I'm appreciative that they say, Frank, you know, you're a genius and all that stuff. But, you know, to me, Greg, it's just common sense that I want to treat people like they want to be treated, like I want to be treated.
Right.
And so I just wanted to create something that's equal for all of us, something that's fair for all of us, and something that we can enjoy doing. And because believe me, the people, what's really been the funnest for me, just personally, in this whole thing, is I get to talk to people all the time about trading and what they're doing right and what they can tweak, and, well, what if they did this, and are you going to be coming out with this, Frank? And so this is just the most wonderful opportunity that I could ever think of being involved with.
Right. Well, I agree. And you and I worked in different businesses for a long time. We worked with other people in their businesses, and it seems like we always got to a point where we're like, you know what? They were close. They just weren't close enough.
Right, right.
Right. Well, let's see. We got a few more questions here, and I want to get to everybody. How soon before the numbers are set up easier on the equalizer as far as the odds numbers, 1 to 1, 2 to 9, etc.?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because I had mentioned that we're just going to make it, we're going to even make the options equalizer just easier, and instead of having any members figure out what the odds setting need to be or anything,
right?
I'm going to go in and make the face of it literally this simple. Instead of needing to click on 1 to 1, 1 to 3, 5 to 7, 9 to 2, any of those things, I'm literally just going to make it this simple. Is the numbers will show you, look, if you lost your first wager, you put in 1 to 1.
Right.
Second wager, 2 to 1. Third wager, 3 to 1. Fourth wager, 4 to 1. And we'll just, I'm going to design the front like that.
Right.
And I will actually try to do that. Just within the next week here.
Perfect.
Yeah, and just make it even just that much simpler.
Exactly. Now let me see. Now another question said. Let me go back up. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody.
Let me just get this before we get too far into it, Greg. Somebody had asked about it being a force matrix.
Yeah.
And yes, it is in terms of, yes, it's a really simple, short 4x4, and it is forced. Meaning you can only have four members on your front level. Anybody after that gets placed under the next person and right on down the line.
And when that person falls into their downline, they're automatically paid on them as well.
Yes, correct. In fact, a young lady asked me the other night, she thought that she only got paid on her personals. And when I told her, I said, no, I said, you actually get paid on your personals or anybody that they bring in or anybody that they bring in and anybody that they bring in. I can tell you she was doing cartwheels.
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Right.
You know, because you're trading and you're making money in your trading if you're using it properly. You're potentially creating an income that you never had before. And in the same time, being in the matrix, using the matrix, following the training, then you also can potentially make $8,500 a month.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a win-win-win-win. You know, I have no other way of putting it. But we got a couple more questions, and we're going to close out, guys. Thanks for being so patient, by the way, everybody. Ken, no, I don't want to get you mad. He said, "Is there a simple system that can take us to 80% win rate in the short time and short learning curve?" Well, yeah, this is what we've been talking about for the last 40 minutes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't get any simpler. I would like for it to be, but then you'd have to pretty much be asleep. All right. Now, also, Robert says, where do we get the affiliate link for GSP? Are you already in GSP, Robert? Yes. Because if you're already in, you log into your GSP member only back office, and it says right there, my links, bam, click on it, takes you right there.
Yeah, which I should cover that for a minute or two, Greg.
Sure, go ahead.
For the people that are on the webinar for the first time or on the call, obviously you want to get back to the person that brought you on the call.
Right.
You're also going to be giving out your link here, aren't you, Greg?
Yeah, I can put it up right now.
Okay.
That's the offer.
The other thing, in terms of the very first thing that you want to do in the sign-up process is, because there's two pieces to the sign-up process, and that is when you first sign up and create an account, then what we need is an email from you to our support center. And what that does is that starts putting you in the system, and we can send you the instructions from there and say, here's what you guys need to do next. But until we get that email from you, we don't know who referred you, we don't know what your name is, we don't know any of that stuff. So the very first thing when you sign up from somebody's affiliate link is send us a ticket to support, and that's just support@globalsuccessplan.com, and tell us, yes, you just signed up, here's who referred me, and then we'll send you the welcome email, and it tells you how to finish signing up and getting the BOEQZ software and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, we got one more question
Mm-hmm.
that I'm almost certain we kind of answered, but I
Okay.
want to make sure that we answer it anyway, specifically for this person. And they said, if you've got a couple trades in a row, should you just add them up and put them in the EQZ, or one by one?
If you have a couple losing trades,
Yeah, losing trades in a row.
it depends on how big those trades are.
Exactly.
Let's say that you're making a $50 trade. I'd cut it in half and just go over and put $25 in the equalizer, and I'd make it up in 2 trades instead of 1. And depending on what your account is, you can do the same thing if let's say you made 3 or 4 trades However, I do want to caution that the one thing you do not want to do is trade all day, just like this gentleman did the other day that made 54 trades. Well, he won 31 of them, but he lost 23 of them. And so what he did is use the equalizer as he was going along. You do not want to wait until like the end of the session to where you'd go over there with 23 losses and try to make them all
And try
up.
to make them up, exactly.
Yeah. You really just want to do it just one at a time as you're going. That's the best way to use money management and keep your account going in the profit mode.
Exactly. Well, guys, first of all, I want you guys to understand that as modest as he is, Frank is an extremely intelligent individual, but on top of that, which is why he's my friend, is he's an extremely passionate person about people being successful. That's all we've ever tried to do with the Options Power team, which is why I removed every one of the videos from my channel, because the Options EQ pad and the Options binary options equalizer changes everything, folks. It's all different now. So I have to start over making videos based on the place we are now and moving forward. As far as talking about trading with and against the trend and how to recognize when trend is reversing, we're going to do periodic webinars about all of these subjects with Frank as time permits. But if you're in your equalizer back office, hover over BOEQZ, and you can find all of that information in your training and trading philosophies. Use it.
There's actually a lesson back there, Greg, with trading with the trend.
Yep, I just hovered over it.
Oh, okay. And then there's also a lesson in there that we just put up. It's the one on how to trade without emotions.
Yep.
Everybody should watch that. And one of the reasons why, even if you, and I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I'm going to tell them to, even if you skip a lesson or two, you should go watch that right away, because that'll start showing you how to trade without so many emotions. Because I do get people that say, geez, Frank, you know, how do you trade? And one of the things that we always laugh about is I tell them the first thing that I realized early on in my trading career is no matter how hard I talked to the screen, it didn't listen.
Right.
Because it doesn't. You can talk all you want about the trade going up or about the trade going down, and the screen is not going to listen.
Nope, it won't listen ever.
Yeah. And so what we teach you, and what Greg teaches, is when you get into a trade, is you know why you took that trade. The signals were right, everything's set up just right, and so that's why you clicked on that trade. Once you are in that trade, well, you're in that trade with your research, and now the rest is just letting the trade play out and do what it needs to do.
Right.
So anyway, that's a good lesson on about, you know, how to trade without emotions.
Exactly. Well, Frank, on behalf of the Options Power team and everybody here who's not in the team, who's about to be in the team, because why you wouldn't, I don't understand. But on behalf of everybody on the call tonight, and we had a pretty full call, and I want to thank you for taking your time. We've been over an hour now, and I want to make sure that you have time to relax and talk to your people. And I'm going to get off this call and going to talk to my people, and we're going to get this thing moving and chugging along down the line, because like I said, over 90% of the population of the United States of America has no idea what we all know. and what some of you just learned tonight. So be happy, be proud that you're in the place that you're in right now, because you couldn't be in a better position. People always talk about, I wish I'd have been around when IBM started, or I wish I'd have been around working for Microsoft or working for Steve Jobs back when they first started Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is one of those situations right now where being in the right place at the right time couldn't benefit you better. So on behalf of the Options Power team, dominatebinaryoptions.com. Frank, once again, thank you, brother, for taking your time. And I appreciate you coming on the call. And for everybody else, I'm going to close out now. I'm sure you probably can see the offer. If you don't see the offer, all you have to do is go on YouTube. It'll be on the YouTube channel shortly. And as always, imparting, peace.